What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at March 4th Pod. The link tree with all of my stuff is in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here, then you found me somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How is everybody doing? I hope that life finds you well as this podcast is hitting your eardrums. I know that it's been a busy start to the year for this guy, both with work and with the show, and some of it's good, and some of it's like, oh man, I just wish the train would slow down just a little bit. I'm actually a little under the weather, man. It's his the season, right? But I'm doing all right. I'm getting a chance to see some family here soon. Your boy is getting ready to turn 38 this week as this episode is coming out. So yeah, another year older, hopefully a little wiser, goofier. Still hanging in there. I think I look pretty darn good for nearly 40 years old. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm doing all right. But I hope that everybody's doing well, man. Thank you once again to everybody who checks out the show, to everybody who supports the podcast, everybody who likes and shares and subscribes, telling your friends to tell their friends about the show. All those things really have helped to grow over the years. And so far, it's been a fun start to 2026. And, one thing that's been really cool about doing this show and sharing these conversations of perseverance and moving forward, hopefully putting people on to dope artists that they weren't aware of before, with the numerous musical guests I have on the show from different genres all across the musical spectrum, is I really have gotten to connect with a lot of awesome people over the years doing this, man. And it's been more than half a decade now. And this week's guest is a guy that is a multi-time guest of March 4th. It's always great every time we get to catch up. Not only is he a beast on the mic, but he's somebody with his word of the day that he does, and his positive energy that I always appreciate. He is none other than King Shampz. He is a rapper out of Philadelphia, West Philly to be exact. And I was really excited to get him on because on January 27th, he just dropped his new EP, Hustler's Renaissance Volume 1. And it's been a few years since we got a chance to catch up. The last time he was on here was back, I think, in like towards the end of 2023 as he was getting ready for the Rise of Corleone release. West Philly 187 was a track that had come out and had been doing really well. The music video was doing really well. We talk a little bit about that on this one. But yeah, it had been a few years since we caught up. And he's been doing his thing. I've been doing my thing. And even before Hustler's Renaissance Volume 1, he and Azzan have continued to put out music. And like I said, he's a beast on the mic. If you're a fan of gangster rap, if you're a fan of boom bap, and if you're a fan of just like great storytelling, man, like King Shampz is really awesome at that. And we get into that on this one as well. And it's cool when people want to come back, and it's cool when you meet people out here via social media that share that same positive energy and those same vibes. So when I saw that he had new music out, I was like, I got to check it out. I got to give it a listen. And it's a dope listen from front to back. It's 5 songs, 15-minute EP, coming right out the gate with 100 is really sick. And then it ends with Struggle and Tears, which is a really cool kind of, more mellow track compared to the rest of the release. And it's just a really positive vibe to trail out the EP. And we walked through it, man. And it was cool to talk to him about some of the references that he mentions on here. One of them in particular is one I really relate to. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with King Shampz. Here it is. Well, Shampz, it's great to see you, dude. Like we were talking about before I officially hit record, man. Like your family as well, and I appreciate all the kind words you have to say about the show. But yeah, you're one of the OG guests, man. I think this is appearance at least 3, maybe 4 now, and this is the first one since Rise of Corleone. So thanks for coming back, dude.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. I had to break bread with my brother, man. It's very important to do that and show love. And, we're both, on that trajectory going upward, man. So, we just dapping along the way, player.
So how is West Philly these days, man? Especially since we're doing this because you just released Hustlers Renaissance Volume One, the EP that just came out on January 27th. So I hope everybody checks it out. I really enjoyed it. But how's things been since the last time we talked? Because there were a few other releases before this one, in between Rise of Corleone and this one too.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been busy, man. It's been busy. Of course, up here on the East Coast, we've been getting hit with snow crazy back to back to back to back. So things are finally starting to warm up. So, that's always good. But as far as the music, man, I mean, it's a grind. Just like you grinding and salute to you doing over 200, episodes and everything. You know that this thing is a grind, man, and it never stops. Every day you're promoting, every day you're trying to push your product, get it to the people. And that's basically what's been going on since like Rise of Corleone. We dropped a couple of singles. We did a Dead Wrong EP in between that time as well. And then we just kind of started gearing up for this project that we're talking about now, Hustlers Renaissance and Volume 1. And the results so far, people are really, really loving this project. And for it to be an EP, is 5 tracks, so it's an in and out kind of project, but it's very impactful in the way the listener is telling me. You know what I mean? Like everybody that's listened to it is like, yo, like every record is just hitting. Like it's not a dead spot at all. So it's just been grinding, man. And it's good to see from Rise of Corleone to now more fans, more support, more looks, and a lot of great things in the works, man. So it's just been a grind, man. We've been hustling. That's why it's Hustlers Renaissance, man. We bringing it back from the dark ages to the bright days, man.
Well, and I think that's what's cool about you too, Shamps, is the lyrics, and the intensity that you bring on the mic too. But for people who don't know, like the word of the day and everything that you've done on Instagram over the years, man, like the positivity that you bring not only in these conversations, but just what you put out there on social media has always been cool to me too, man. Like that the passion that you have just for like life, and like we've talked about, coming from different walks of life, and West Philly's tough, man. And
Yeah.
you're that, you talk about it in your music, but you talk it and walk it though with like the positivity, and that's something that I've always liked. So I'm happy to hear that more people are coming on board. I remember the last time that you were on here, West Philly 187. I can't remember if that was the first one that you guys dropped off of Rise of Corleone, but I remember that
Yeah, it
video.
was. It was. Yeah, you got good memory, bro. That was the first single, first video. Yes, sir. That's exactly what it was. Yes, sir.
And from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but organically that video was getting a lot of traction like right out the gate. And I was so excited to see that for you, man. What was that like? Did you feel like that was like a moment like just in this run that you've been on with making this music? Because that was really cool to see, kind of like a cool grassroots music video. Like that's where you guys are, and to see it pick up steam like that was really cool.
Nah, it definitely was a dope moment, man. And what I'm starting to realize just in life in general is we have to celebrate the small wins. We have to celebrate the victories because you notice in life sometimes you won't get that pat on the back unless you give yourself that pat on the back and realize how far you've come on your journey. So when we initially dropped that video, that was my first video ever. Never did a video before then, and to see the people react to it, like you said, from an organic perspective, it was phenomenal, man. It was phenomenal because it was like, yo, we've put in a lot of work with dropping this music and dropping this content with no music videos at all up to that point, and having almost like a cult kind of following in a way where it's like, yo, we just fuck with your music. We fuck with you as a person, like the word of the day that really got people going. And I'm bringing something special with that soon too. I'm crafting that behind the scenes. I want to do something a little bigger and better for that. But yeah, West Philly 187, and then like that came behind that, and that did a lot of great views organically as well. It was just dope moments, man. And I think that Rise of Corleone really was a testament to the rise of not just me as an artist, But just us as a label and as people and really developing and seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work. That's just a part of the grind and the hustle. But it was a hell of a moment, man. I was excited, just like, oh damn, the comments is going up, the numbers is going up. This is dope for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool when people find you. You know what I mean? When something catches on and people find you, and like you said, especially like when you're on the come up and you're making a name for yourself and you've got your community and your core fans, but then when it starts to reach people like outside of that scope, like that's what's always cool for me too. Like, I try not to get too caught up in like, numbers and things like that, but when I see downloads from different countries and stuff, it's always like humbling. You're like, oh, people overseas are checking this out. Like if somebody would have told like 8-year-old me like this would be happening. So yeah, I was excited for you guys. And one thing that I wanted to talk about with you too, Shamps, and thanks again, dude. It's great catching up. Is I always feel like the moves are intentional, and I pay a lot of attention to like artwork as well, just because I'm a nerd for that. Like the viewers can't see it. I mean, like I got a poster behind me over here. I've got MJ over Patrick Ewing. I've got Ben Wallace. On the other side of that, I've got music from my buds and Tropic Bombs. Like on this wall, like I don't have any empty walls in my place. I'm like I love art. Drawing was my first love, but the artwork for you, I always felt like has been intentional with the releases that you guys are putting out with Dead Wrong. Like you had the cool Streetlight one, for Rise of Corleone. You've had sports references, so Hustlers Renaissance Volume One, man. Can you talk a little bit about the cover for that and the people that are on that one?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always love that you're always in depth. Like you don't fuck around. And that's why I love you, bro. Like you stay on point. You know what I'm saying? And I respect that. With the covers, yeah, that's something that me and my brother Azzan have worked on because just like our music, we want everything to stand out. I feel like in a lot of these situations, or, when people are dropping music or anything that they're doing, they don't have, like you said, a well thought out plan of how they want the product to be consumed, how they want the product to be, visually accepted or something that pops out, you know what I mean, to the viewer. And when you talk about this cover in particular, it's a lot of the street legends that's on here. We have guys like, Aaron Jones that's from Philadelphia, from the Junior Black Mafia. You have Rick Ross, the original Rick Ross that's on there. You have Demencio from Brooklyn, that was a big street guy. Then you have like the big broad picture where you see like a lot of the guys. That's the Supreme Team from New York. So you have a lot of guys on that cover. I know I'm missing probably one person because I'm reading. I'm actually looking at it in my head of how the cover actually looks, and I'm picking the people. I may be missing somebody, but that's the bulk of it. And yeah, we always want to have something that's creative and different, and we're going to have merch of that as well. Because people love the cover art. They were like, "Yo, like, where's the shirts? Where's this? Where's that?" It's like it's coming. We're working on it. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about being creative and standing out with us. And that's what we wanted to capture with this cover art. We wanted to show those hustlers from back in the day, and give them some homage, but also give a different spin on it, as it's not only a hustler's renaissance from, the streets perspective, but from the hustler's renaissance from the entrepreneurial spirits perspective. How you have people like me and you that are out here hustling. You know what I mean? We're putting plans together, we're executing them. And I feel like it's a renaissance going on where people are starting to see how to use the internet, how to try to dodge the algorithms and really build organically. On one of my last interviews, I was talking about it with a homie. It was just like, yo, the movement now was fuck the algorithm, man. We're going against the fucking algorithm. Fuck that shit. We want to touch the people. We want to organically touch the people and then build up from there. And just that cover art, we feel like that draws people in along with the music. So it's a great visual thing before you actually get to the audio.
Yeah, man, I think it's dope. Those would be sick posters as well, man. And yeah, because I know with you the moves are intentional, and I'll have to send you this playlist that I have too, of like some of my favorite like it's funny, I call it old school faves, but now I'm like, well, shoot, 2000 was like 26 years ago, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. Like I have this playlist like my favorite rap tracks, and one of the things that I loved about like the 90s and the 80s, And even some of the stuff in the early 2000s, man. And there's still rappers like yourself that are doing it today. And I think that's one of the coolest things about rap music is the amount of lyricism that's involved and the references that are involved and what y'all have to remember on the mic. It's crazy compared to, I guess, like a standard song. Like that's always what's impressed me about hip hop is just like the ability to not only have a flow and a unique flow, but and a unique cadence, but to remember it, but also the storytelling. Like that's one of the things like we were talking about before the jump. Like when I moved to Nashville, I really wasn't into country. I came from like metal and hip hop, but then I discovered some dope storytellers in country like Chris Stapleton, Stephen Wilson Jr. Sick, man. You got to check him out. Um,
Word.
he doesn't need my help. He's doing great right now, but I pump him up to anybody who will want to listen. But getting back to your music, man, like when I go back and listen to my old school faves playlists, that's one of the things that really still draws me to this day to hip hop in general, but especially like that 90s era, like the storytellers, whether it was gangster rap or whether it was like, a song like Mr. Wendell from Arrested Development. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you listen to it, it like takes you in there, or like Nas and Hustlers Renaissance Volume One, man. Like I feel like it's and you did the same thing with like the previous releases in Rise of Corleone, but like the storytelling aspect of your music, man, and you were just talking about it with the artwork. Has that, because I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this before. I'm trying to think on previous conversations, but has that been something that's always like attracted you to hip hop in general? Because I remember, I think our first interview, you were telling me like you grew up in a household where it was like a lot of different music genres were playing. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Has the storytelling part of it always been something that attracted you to it? Because that's something that you definitely present in your music for sure.
Oh man, first and foremost, I appreciate that, bro. That means a lot that you're actually listening to the lyrics and the stories that's being told because it's not only my stories, but it's stories of loved ones that are no longer with us. It's stories of the streets, and the people that are in them. You know what I mean? The environment that I come from. So I um really take that storytelling element to heart because it's not only a story, it's being told as a story, but it's people's lives that are being involved in it. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to make sure that I'm writing within the parameters of that when I'm sitting down and I'm putting down the lyrics. I think that hip hop definitely um, gave me that opportunity to tell stories for sure, because that's what hip hop has always been about. You know what I mean? All of the music that, hip hop has embodied, um, and different genres, whether it's blues or soul or any of these different things, that's what you're really hearing in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's just another version of the blues sped up. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't look at myself any different than a Robert Johnson or a Buddy Waters. You know what I'm saying? In that respect, where it's like I'm telling that story for the people that are impoverished, the people that are in poverty, the people that are hustling. So I take that very seriously. And I feel like with hip hop, it allows you that expression to be poetic, you know what I mean, and write things a certain way. Like you said, Nas, who is one of my biggest influences writing, how he not only keeps you engaged, but when you're listening to him, you're like, wow, like I can really visualize what he's talking about, what he saw, what he's eating, what he's drinking, you know what I mean, what's going on those streets. So I think it's very important, especially as an MC, to kind of capture those moments. And I take pride in that.
Yeah, man. Hustlers Renaissance Volume One, like right out the gate with 100, man. Like the beat is like, oh, okay, But there's a reference on there. I'm like, because listen to it a few times. I'm like, all right, did I catch this correctly? And if I caught it correctly, it's not that I'm going to be proud of myself, but there's a funny story behind it. So, did I hear John Randall correctly in the reference? And are you talking about Minnesota Vikings, John Randall? Is
Yes,
that who we're
one
talking?
billion percent.
So, a quick story. So this will probably make you laugh because I know you're a big sports guy as well. So
Yeah,
for me it's basketball and then football. But my second year of organized football, I was 10 years old, going into fifth grade. And back in the day on ESPN2, and we're at the age where we remember. We're not old, but but we
yeah,
we remember ESPN2, ESPN Classic, and so before YouTube, that was like my education on like more like the old school players, in the NFL films and the music and like John Randall was the player that inspired me at like 4 foot nothing and like 90 pounds as a 10-year-old to play tackle for the Christ the King Raiders in Toledo, Ohio. Because I remember watching NFL films, and he wouldn't just do the eye black; he would have like the whole. It was like
His
war.
whole face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would get up on the line and bark at people. So I was 10 years old in fifth grade with like Kurt Rambis sports goggles because I'm blind as a bat, like barking at like other kids. So yeah, so when I heard the John Randall reference on 100, I'm like, all right, I think I know who he's referencing, but I got to ask him about that because yeah, that was a sick reference, man.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, bro, like John Randall, man, again, being a former football player myself, he's a fucking psychopath. And I loved it about him. You know what I mean? Like he has so much passion about the game. It's hard for you not to root for somebody like that because you're like, yo, he's really giving his all out here. Like you hear that phrase and it's cliche, you know what I mean, at this point in time, but it's like, no, this guy's like really involved. Like you said, like war paint. You know what I mean? And that was something I always loved about him and other football players like him. Is they're going hard. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They're going hard and they're not going to go home without the win. You know what I mean? Or at least your ass hurt. So I've always respected those guys for sure. So yeah, no, you peeped it. And I always, like you said, I always write with a lot of sports references because I'm so heavily involved still in sports. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm not playing anymore. I definitely am always watching football, basketball, baseball, boxing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get a little bit more into hockey and stuff like that. So I always feel like in order for you to consistently be good with lyrics, you have to have other things to rap about and tie them into somebody else's reality. You can't just be rapping about some shit that no one really knows what you're talking about. That's not like you can rap for yourself and do that. You know what I mean? But not for people. So yeah, now you peep that, man. That's good ear. But I expect none less. I expect none less.
No, I loved it because he was literally the player. My two favorite football players ever are John Randall and as a Lions fan, Barry Sanders. You
For
know,
sure. I respect that.
yeah, Barry Sanders on Madden 2000 is goated. He's 99 across like pretty much everything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been a Lions fan pretty much since I was like 11 years old, and that's a big reason why, man. Back in the day when they had him, Herman Moore, Terry Fair running back kicks. But John Randall was the guy. I was slow. I couldn't really catch. You know what I mean? I was kind of like a glorified tackling dummy, but I was like, I can play defensive tackle, and John Randall was the guy. So yeah, I'm glad I caught that reference. And it's hard to pick favorites, but I loved 100. I thought that was a great one to open up Hustlers Renaissance Volume One, and then Don Juan I really liked that one. Didn't you say All Black like Revenge of the Sith? That was
Yeah.
another reference. So are you a Star Wars guy too?
You know, the thing is, okay, so it's funny. I've watched all of the movies, but I'm not like a Star Wars guy, if that makes any sense. Now, my little brother, when he was little, the baby, not Azzan, but the baby, he was a huge, him and his friend that they basically grew up together. We're huge Star Wars fans. So of course, being a big brother, little brother dynamic, I've always teased like, hey, what the fuck you doing? Are you General Grievous? Are you Count Dooku? Like what the fuck? Like just like brotherly kind of shit. But I always pay attention to things, and I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out with Darth Maul in it, and how much of a hoopla it was about his character, and he had the two red lightsabers and everything, and it was just a dope cultural reference that I knew if you've watched it with Star Wars, it has billions of fucking fans everywhere. You'll catch on to that immediately. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's the creative thing that I love about hip hop because you can combine all these different ideas and make them sound dope. You know what I mean? Like Don Juan is one of those records where I was just kind of throwing things at the wall creatively, knowing that they would stick, not just throwing darts. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing different flows on here, different cadences. Even the intro was different from what I've done before. That's like a heavily influenced like Fela Kuti thing. If you know who that is, you'll hear that immediately. It's all about being creative, man. And I feel like when you're writing those kinds of cultural references, it intrigues the listener a lot more because it's like, oh, again, that's something that I can relate to. That's something that I can peep and be like, oh yeah, like how you had that story about a John Randall. That's something that connects. You know what I'm saying? To like childhood, to different things that you may have went on in your life experience, you can connect with that. So it's always dope to like hear people fucking with the lines and really paying attention in detail for sure.
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah, I love picking up on the references and just from our previous talks, like, knowing that you're a sports guy too, but when I heard that Revenge of the Sith reference, all black like Revenge of the Sith, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. It's those references that take you back, and I think especially in the times that we're in now, and and I'm learning more as I get older, dude, to be more in the present. But
Mhm.
sometimes nostalgia kind of takes you out of like the darker stuff that you're walking through, when you remember stuff from when you're a kid. And like I saw that movie in the theaters because my neighbors were big Star Wars fans. And yeah,
Okay.
I remember when that came out, and yeah, Darth Maul, man, was gnarly looking. You know what I mean? And but like
Yeah.
cool. Like it was one of those things where it was like, I know he's a bad guy, but he's cool looking. And like you said, he had like the double lightsaber. Uh, but yeah, I remember that one. And my favorite off of it is probably Struggle and Tears, man. I thought that was a cool one to close it out. I know the vibe of that one compared to the rest of the EP is slower, but I kind of liked it too because like as a movie guy, and I know like you're into pop culture too. Struggle and Tears had that positive vibe. I feel like that you leave people with. And I like the duality of Hustler's Renaissance, like you said, where it's not just talking about like street culture. It's also talking about like, hey, it's just as a person hustling, whether you're podcasting, whether you're making music, making any kind of art, trying to, advance yourself in any way in life. And Struggle and Tears was a cool one, a slower one, and like a positive one to end it with. Like I felt like that could be one like at like the end of a movie, like that would be a song that would play when it's like, all right, the conflict's resolved, everybody's in a positive headspace, and just like with your vibe with the word of the day and everything, man, I thought that was like a cool toast to Hustler's Renaissance, man. So kudos for tracking it like that. Did you have that in mind? Is putting that as the last one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, like you already say, bro, we're very intentional with everything that we do. To quote the great Michael Jordan, we don't play accidental basketball. You know what I mean? Everything has a purpose. You know what I mean? We're not just dribbling the dribble. We're dribbling to the spot. You know what I mean? And we're gonna make the shot. So when you talk about struggling tears, we definitely wanted to end that project on that kind of note because it still is talking about different things that's from a hustler's perspective. You know, by me being in the streets and living the way I lived at one point in time, I have a lot of experience in that. You know what I mean? And these are some of the things that go through your head, whether it's relationships, you know what I mean, with people, with a significant other, whether it's the relationship between the streets and the police and how things can go with that, or just out here hustling and the people that you can literally trust turning on you and betraying you. So when you talk about putting all of those different I guess experiences in a melting pot, that's kind of the result you're going to get is a struggle and tears. And I remember writing that song again when I was dealing with a lot of different health issues and things like that, and I was at a vulnerable spot where I wanted to sit down and write something that could touch people. Because again, like you said, when I'm doing the word of the day, I'm not only saying that for you, but I'm also saying that to consistently reiterate to myself, like these are the things that you need to pour into your spirit. These are the things that you need to have in your mind that can push you forward to where you eventually want to be. So struggling tears definitely was something that we wanted to end it off with a bang. And like you said, it is like a movie, and that's how we do things, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to do it in a way where it's that beginning, middle, and end, and it ends off in a certain place where it's like, you know what? That's the way it should have been for sure.
Yeah, I love that one. I also like If It's Real, So and Then It's Really Real. So that was I like took it back to that too. That was sick, man. Yeah, it really it's really awesome, man. I think for a 5 song EP, man, like there's really truly, and I'm not just saying this because you're on here, dude. But there's no filler on this. And I thought that was a great way to end it. But But yeah, man, I'm excited for you, and it's been cool, to see with Instagram, man, just the amount of attention it's getting, the other shows that you're on. Like, how cool is it for you as somebody who's been at this a while, Shams, to see like the fruits of the labor? Like, obviously you do it because you love it, and like you said, you and Azzan have been at this a while, man, and like to see it pick up steam over the years, like what's that been like to you to see the response? Because especially just in a month's time, man, like I really feel like beyond the hustling of making the music, it's cool to see people picking up on it, man.
Oh yeah, no, I mean again, bro, it's a grind, and I thank you for showing me that love and that appreciation. It's a motherfucker, man. You know that, because you're the one that's doing it. You know what I mean? It's not really a lot of help. You're basically helping yourself. You're basically putting all of these game plans together. Some are successful, others may not be so successful, and you look at them and you learn from them and you build again so it can be successful. It's been a beautiful journey, and the journey's not done. It's so much more work to do. And I think that's what consistently motivates me to work the way I do. Because, like you said, on my Instagram, on all of these different platforms, I got interviews coming out consistently. I'm interviewing with everyone. I'm promoting with everybody. I got my bars from the blog series that's been garnering a lot of attention. Hustlers Renaissance is doing well independently, and we're still promoting that. We're not going to not stop promoting that. You know what I mean? So we understand that it's a hustle, but it's great to see, again, living in a moment, like you were saying, instead of just fast forward and everything. And sometimes, like I said, us as people, we're just trying to get to the next thing instead of appreciating what we have here, what we're doing here. And I believe that the work that we're putting together is monumental work. I believe, like how we were talking beforehand, we're chasing the history books. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people don't believe in legacy the way they should. I think it's a word that gets thrown around, but I don't think people actually understand the definition of it, where legacy is like something that's positive, that sticks from a generation to generation of who you are, what you represent, and what you've built, most importantly. And I feel like we're building a foundation where it's bringing that electric street hip hop back. And the more and more we continue to build this thing and it continues to move at the trajectory that we want it to be, there's nothing that can slow this shit down, because it's going to touch on all music. Because again, I'm a rock guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'll listen to Alice in Chains sometimes before I listen to a Nas album. I'll listen to a Pearl Jam album before I listen to a Mobb Deep album. So that's just kind of how I am. Listening to jazz consistently, I want to be able to eventually blend those worlds together and really get into some storytelling. I've got so many different dope ideas, but to summarize it and bring it all back to the original question, it's a beautiful thing to see it. You know what I mean? To see that the fruits of the labor, and knowing that it's like, hey, now that we know that we can plant these seeds and that these fruits come out, shit, let's find us some more soil, baby, and get to planting some more. Let's continue to grow this thing.
Yeah, dude, I always appreciate the positive vibes and yeah, like your cadence and your style and your flows and the music itself and the beats, like I'm really a fan of it because I do think it stands out, and I think that's what's cool about what you're doing. It's one of those things where it kind of harkens back to the 90s storytelling that I love, and I think other rap fans too will love, with gangster rap. But it's also like you said, there's real life stuff in there, but you're also mixing in the pop culture and the sports references. And yeah, man, I like it when people have like their own lane and they're doing their thing instead of, like you said, bucking the trend instead of trying to follow these algorithms and all this stuff. Like, do the stuff that's real to you. Because if it's real to you, it's going to be real to somebody else. Like the authenticity is what people pick up on at the end of the day. Well, before we wrap it up, dude, and thanks again so much for taking the time. Um, like you mentioned, the word of the day, the positivity has always been something that's been part of what you do as well, man, and what you put out there. Um, I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Is there anybody that comes to mind if I ask you who was somebody that gave you the time of day, that really saw you either when you were younger or maybe on this journey as a musician where it was like, hey, man, this person, they didn't know me at all. they didn't have to do that, and like you said, there's been darkness in your life and trauma, stuff that you still deal with as a grown man and things that you go through. And you mentioned health issues and stuff, but you ever look back, like I find myself doing that as I get older, like you remember like that old quote, you forget what people did or what people said sometimes, but you always remember how people made you feel. Is there anybody in life, man, that maybe you didn't know on a personal level that really saw you, whether it was a teacher or a coach, and you're like, man, like every now and again you just think about it, you're like, man, like that person was cool. Like it inspires me to want to be cool to other people because that person was cool to me. They took the time, or they really looked out for me.
You know what? That's a so in depth, great question, man, and it's got my mind racing in a great way because I've encountered so many different people along this journey, um, that have showed me love, and you would have to be one of those people as well because again, we connected. And I'm just sending you a link. You didn't have to say shit. You could have just went on about your day. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people do, but you took that time to actually listen and listen to my story and start to get to know me more and more on a personal level. And I feel like I've ran into so many people like this, so I couldn't really summarize it into one person. I think even in my football days, it was so many different coaches I could think of, that really influenced me to be a better person. My parents, you know what I mean? My grandparents, these people also influenced me to really, really delve deep into not only becoming a better person, but trying to make others become the best version of themselves as well. So to summarize it, I mean, it's really like just life, man. Just life, running into different folks that really just show you genuine love because they actually see you for you. Sometimes you can sit around people your whole life and they'll treat you like a stranger. And then you'll be around some strangers and they'll treat you like family. You know what I'm saying? So when you have that kind of thing in this thing called life, it's a lot of up and downs, like you said, trauma and stuff like that. But when you get these people in your life that truly support, it's a beautiful thing. So I can say all my life I've ran into a lot of different dope folks. You know what I mean? That consistently supported me and told me to keep going. You know what I mean? Whether I knew them or not. You know what I'm saying? I've ran into those folks. And then, of course, I mean, life is life. You run into the people who are assholes and, people who, don't really mean you no good at all. But all of it's a learning experience, man.
Yeah, man, and I think that's one of the cool things. I say it a lot on here about social media. Like one of the positive sides of either algorithms or social media is like, I can get put onto somebody's music like yourself a lot sooner than maybe I would have, back in the 90s, where it was like I would have either had to hear it on the radio, word of mouth, or you have like those friends that were, going to the record stores, or they were into like the artists that were like more underground before you were. And you're like, yo, listen to this tape. Like, oh, this is King Shampz word. Let me listen to that. And so I think that's what's cool about like social media now is you can, I can get connected with somebody like yourself a lot faster than maybe back in the day. One of the positives and a lot of the negatives that are out there. But yeah, I'm really excited for what you're doing, dude. I want everybody to listen to Hustlers Renaissance Volume One. Before we wrap it up, and thanks again so much time for your time, King Shampz. It's always great talking to you, dude. I always love catching up with you, and I mean this too. This isn't just lip service. Like I really appreciate the love and support you've shown me over the years. It's always cool when people want to come back on. And shout out to Anthony Church as well, Improving Knowledge, fellow friend of both of ours, who's also doing
For
his thing.
sure.
But as a big sports guy, man, and you mentioned football, but one thing I got to ask you about, because and this is in the top of my mind too, because this is like the 25-year anniversary of that Eastern Conference finals run, and going against the Lakers that the Sixers had, man, with that Sixers team. What was it like back then, like in Philly at like the height of Iverson? Because I don't know that we ever really talked about that. Like, can you tell me and the people? Because I just remember what it was like growing up in Toledo, and I think
Mm,
people now forget, like post Jordan and pre like Kobe ascent, Iverson was really the face of the league, man. Like
yes.
all of the guards, like all the little guys were wearing the Iversons. like all the guys that I played with, like the guards, we were all trying to do the crossover. I still remember like the behind the back like spin in the commercial that he did for like the third one. People who know like go watch that commercial. Like I remember trying to mimic that like as a kid growing up and like never being able to pull it off. But what was it like at the height of AI, man? Because the love that he still gets like in the basketball world, but especially in Philly, like I can't imagine what it was like being in this city at that time.
Bro, it was complete fucking pandemonium. Like AI ran everything. He literally, matter of fact, I referenced a spot that they called Club Fridays. It was a regular Fridays restaurant, but it was a spot on City Line Avenue in West Philly called Fridays. Of course, the restaurant TGIF, where AI and those guys would buy out the Fridays with chicken fingers, and the ladies was around. Like it was a wild fucking spot. Like AI had the city on smash, bro. Everybody was trying to grow braids. Everybody had headbands. Everybody went to the games. And then when we finally reached the finals to play the Lakers, oh man, everybody had Sixers jerseys, Sixers flags on their cars. Like it was crazy. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you shed some light on that because AI was that guy after that. Like you said, after Jordan, right before Kobe and your LeBrons and now Steph's and everything. It was AI for like 5 straight years, like just dominating everything, scoring a bunch of points, and his cultural impact was crazy. Where you had guys like yourself, white guys that was trying to get braids. I was like, yo, this is fucking bananas. Like this is crazy. Like it was the funniest shit. Like I know plenty of my guys, but I was like, bro, like you have hair like George Clooney. How the fuck are you gonna pull this off, bro? Like this is beyond crazy. But that was the impact he had. You know what I mean? That was the impact he had. It was super dope.
Dude, that is hilarious, man. Yeah, he was sick too, man. And I think people, I mean, he was listed at 6 foot 175. Like I remember
He's
when he
smaller than that, bro. He's like 5'10".
yeah,
I met him personally. He's no 6 foot anything.
and he was averaging, like I think people forget in a really physical era, half court era, like he was one of those players that crossed over, no pun intended, in the era like before zone defense too. And he
Yeah.
was he was averaging like 30 a game at that size. It was crazy. Like I mean, kids can go watch the highlights now, but to be part of that live, like that's why like I'm so geeked out that like NBA on NBC is back. Like that is like
Yeah.
dopest
That
intro.
brings back the memories, right?
I still remember watching the Sunday game when Jordan retired from the Bulls the last time in '98 when they played New York, and
Yeah.
his last game against the Knicks, and he wore the Air Jordan ones because I was like, that's what got me into like, sneakers in the mid '90s. Like was like the Penny twos, and the first Jordans that I had were the Air Jordan 12s. So I remember that like being a moment. The last time he played at the Garden, and I want to say that was a Sunday game on NBA on NBC. But yeah, I'm glad that theme is back. But I was like, yeah, I was trying to think of stuff I hadn't asked you before, and I'm like, this dude's from West Philly. Like that had to be so crazy in the late '90s, early 2000s with AI, man. It's still to this day, like I
No,
feel
he
like
still gets love here. Yeah. Like he still like sells out crowds and hasn't played here in years. Like every time he shows up, like and he gets like an award or some shit, like the whole city is like down here for sure.
so did you meet him? You said you met him. Did you meet him when you were younger or older?
When I was younger, yeah, for sure, for sure. This was like in the height of like AI being AI. Like I'm talking about like bringing out all kinds of Rolls Royces. And he used to be riding through the hood. Like that's why people fuck with AI because he would be in West Philly getting like a cheesesteak from anywhere. You know what I mean? With like a $2 million car on the corner. Like that was just the kind of guy he was. You know what I mean? And I think that's why the city embraced him because he was just real. Like he didn't care and he always gave it his all. Like you knew on the court, it wasn't going to be a night where he wasn't giving it his all. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the whole city respected. And that's what, the NBA and so many other people, across the country respected. Like, yo, this little dude is going out here against giants every night, shooting mid ranges, taking it to the hole, not giving a fuck and never quitting. So it was dope to see him, man. And I saw him multiple times, like I said, as a young guy. So it was always dope to see him.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, Shamps, this has been awesome, dude. I really appreciate it. I like every time we talk, like it's always positive vibes. I'm really excited for you. I'm glad that Hustlers Renaissance Volume 1 is getting a lot of traction. I'm a big fan of it. Like I said, it's hard to pick out favorites, but I did really love 100, Don Juan, and Struggle in Tears. Shout out to John Randall. Shout out to uh, shout out to you, dude. Really appreciate the positivity as always, dude. One thing that I really try to live by, because like you said, there's people you encounter that are good to you. There's a lot of people you encounter that are a different way, and I try to always live by, treat everyone you meet as if they were you in a different life. It's kind of another way of saying like the golden rule, but treat everyone you meet as though they were you in a different life. Is it kind of, for me, it kind of hits home a little bit more, because it's like, you can come from different walks of life, but I always just try to look at everybody like, hey, that could be me, man, and I don't know what that person's going through, but if I can meet them at their level wherever they are, maybe we can connect on like a human level. And that's part of the reason I love doing podcasting, and I love music, is because, you might not have the same life experience as somebody, but you can meet them at a human level and bond and connect, man. And I feel like that's what we've been able to do over the years. So from a Midwesterner like myself, from the Glass City to West Philly, I always appreciate the love, dude. For people who aren't aware of you, let them know where they can find you, Shamps. I'll put up the links in the podcast description, but let them know where they can find the work that you and Azzan are doing, dude.
For sure, man. And again, bro, I'm so glad we were able to get this done. Cause like I said, you getting busy too now. You know what I mean? Don't sell yourself short. You've been moving and grooving, and I'm proud to see that development from where you started to where you are now. You know what I mean? Because again, a lot of people won't give that credit. I'm going to make sure I give you your flowers as well. And for the people that's tuning in, man, hey, listen, if y'all want to hear dope hip hop, really great body of work, check out Hustlers Renaissance. It's on all streaming platforms. Check out Rise of Corleone. It's on all streaming platforms. The beginnings. Every record that we've put out is on all streaming platforms, and you can literally hear the growth and the development that we've had throughout the years, man. And follow me on Instagram at King Shampz, KingShampz. Same on Twitter, KingShampz. Follow me on there, man. We always are dropping, new music. We're bringing our Bars on the Block series on both platforms as well. So yeah, check us out. Like I said, if you want to hear really dope music, like really dope music that's catchy, that you can play for the fellas, you can play for your girl, you can play when you in your car, you know what I mean, when you at the gym trying to get your work in, like it is every day, everywhere at music, man. So tune into that Hustlers Renaissance again, bro. I appreciate you so much, man, for having me back on. It's really been a blessing for sure.
You're welcome, dude, and thanks for the kind words. Yeah, you got an open invite at anytime you want to come on, man. I feel like sports alone, we could probably do an episode just on like 90s hip hop. We could do an episode probably just on sports alone over the years. Like we didn't even talk about the Cowboys and the Lions, but I'm onward and upward for next year. As I know you're a Cowboys guy, and I'm a
Yeah.
Lions. We'll send some positive vibes for our football teams next year. But yeah, always a pleasure,
Y'all
dude.
just got to get healthy, man. Y'all get healthy, y'all will be fine. With us, we have to get a fucking defense. Like we got some pieces, but we definitely need a whole retool in that secondary, man. But we definitely have to do some kind of sports, like you said, hip hop kind of joint where we just talk about that alone, because I think that would just be very entertaining for sure.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate the time. Everybody go listen to Hustlers Renaissance Volume 1. Go back and listen to the previous work from King Shampz, Rise of Corleone, all of it. Dead Wrong Records. Appreciate you, man. Send it positivity and love your way. Like you said, your family, and I appreciate you every time you're doing this. And it's cool to see you doing your thing, man.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate you always.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with King Shampz out of West Philly. Make sure you go follow him on Instagram at King_Shampz, and that is spelled SHAMPZ. The links to all of his stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support my friend King Shampz. You will not be disappointed if you are into dope lyricism and great rap music. Once again, his latest EP entitled Hustlers Renaissance Volume 1 is out now, available wherever you get your music. So go run up the numbers on that one. Once again, some of my favorites, as you guys heard in that conversation, are 100, Don Juan, and Struggle and Tears. I really love those three, but the whole listen is a dope listen front to back. And go back and check out Shamp's previous releases with Azzan and Dead Wrong Records, especially Rise of Corleone is sick. Go back and listen to the earlier releases. I just want to say directly to Shamp's, dude, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and I really appreciate the time as always. You're one of the OG guests, a friend of the show. You're welcome back anytime. And I was going back and listening and checking out previous shows that we had done, and I think your first time on was way back in 2021, so half a decade now since we first came in contact on social media. And I'm a fan of what you're doing. I'm a fan of the positivity and the word of the day outside of your music. And just big shout out to you and Azzan and Dead Wrong Records, man, for continuing to hustle and do your thing and put out great music. And really proud of you, man. And really appreciate you taking the time to come back on and chop it up with me. It was cool to talk a little bit about sports. We could probably do a whole episode just about sports with our love for that as well outside of music. But really like what you're doing, my guy. And once again, you are welcome back anytime. So once again, everybody, Hustlers Renaissance Volume 1 out now, available wherever you get your music. Go run up the numbers. Go back and check out the old stuff. Go check out the music video for West Philly 187 on YouTube. Rise of Corleone, everything that Dead Wrong is doing. I really appreciate Shampz always making time for me. And once again, it's cool when you meet other dope people out here. And we got to lift each other up. Once again, you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at March 4th Pod. The link tree with all of my stuff will be in the podcast description. And if you did enjoy what you heard and Shampz brought you here, if you're a first-time guest, welcome aboard the pirate ship. But one thing that you can do that goes a long way in helping this show get out to more people is if you like, subscribe to the show, but also if you leave a rating and a review of the podcast. I know on Spotify and Apple Music in particular, there is a 5-star rating system. So if you actually rate the podcast, that goes a long way in telling the algorithm, these mysterious algorithms that run the world, that you liked it, and it helps it rank higher organically in the podcast searches, from what I understand. And that's what I want, man. I want to put more people onto dope artists like King Shampz and what he's doing. So once again, go follow him on Instagram at King_Shampz, SHAMPZ. Hustlers Renaissance Volume 1 out now, available wherever you get your music. That is going to be a wrap on this week's episode. Keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourself. Off of Hustlers Renaissance Volume 1 from King Shampz, here is the song Struggle and Tears. Peace.
Yeah. From my tongue, niggas speak life. Yeah. From my tongue, niggas speak life. You can't achieve greatness without sacrifice. Can't avoid pain when you live in life. Strength is in yourself, turn your wrongs to rights. The pressure of night turn hearts ice. Seen it with my own eyes. Watching bodies, dropping bodies, sending prayers to the skies. My mind is traumatized, I'm not living a lie. Niggas hating when you bacon, want a piece of the pie. I'm not even confused, this the life that I choose. Gets lonely in these shoes when niggas wanna just use. Fail so many times, but I will never lose. Cause when it's never quit, that's just unwritten rules of what I'm supposed to do. Stay in poverty too. Head upstate with niggas fighting for soup. Now I'm copping the coops, giving these hoes the truth. Civilized and refined, I'm staying true to my roots. Dropping jewels in the booth, I used to hustle off the stoop. Now I'm seeing the fruits, far away from a troubled youth. This is my truth, just from me to you. These are my views from inspiration I drew.
Cause yo, everything you see ain't everything you hear. They hate to see you winning, the jealousy in their stares. You ball and never fall and be something they really fear. But we get it through the struggles, yo, we get it through the tears. Cause everything you see ain't everything you hear. They hate to see you stunting and fronting without a kid. They wanna see you dead and in prison, it's never fair. But we get it through the struggles, yo, we get it through the tears.
Nigga, if it's beef, then just let me know. Girl, you say you love me, it don't never show. Emotionally attached, I need to let it go. Tears fed my seeds, so I'm bound to grow. I'm destined to blow like Pearl Harbor. I move smarter, married the game at the altar. Loyalty can't fall to build my life off of trust. These evil streets is rough. Me and my brothers, shit, all we got is us. Just me and my thoughts, the good life we lust. Money, hoes, clothes is a must, so live it up. None do I fear, fuck a fake nigga's bluff. Free in my mind, cops wanna lock me in cuffs. Treat me unjust, to label me a statistic. All cause a nigga's money flow be terrific. Y'all want the real, but don't want it authentic. Tell lies that sound true, but you can never mimic. In the midst like bartenders, I got dreams to remember. Holding on to prayers since summer over this winter, so don't run like a sprinter. Stay true through it all. Chips ain't for quitters, my winners is stand tall.
Cause yo, everything you see ain't everything you hear. They hate to see you winning, the jealousy in their stares. You ball and never fall and be something they really fear. But we get it through the struggles, yo, we get it through the tears. Cause everything you see ain't everything you hear. They hate to see you stunting and fronting without a kid. They wanna see you dead and in prison, it's never fair. But we get it through the struggles, yo, we get it through the tears.
Yeah, you know life is hard and I know you feel like giving up sometimes. But I want you to think if God has given up on you, then you don't need to give up on yourself. Stay patient, stay prayed up. You gon' win. I guarantee you gon' win. Keep your head up.